Hey everyone, I am Rafa and this is my final project for the subject of Resources and ICT. So now let's start with the first part of the project. So firstly we have to check how will be my minor students for this task. So they will be students from the 5th grade of primary education that will follow the Spanish regulatory curriculum from the 126 and 2014 law. So let's check it. The objectives are, firstly, to develop habits of individual and teamwork, effort and responsibility in study, as well as attitudes of self-confidence and responsibility, critical sense, personal initiative, curiosity, interest and creativity in learning, and entrepreneurial spirit. Then, to know, understand and respect different cultures and difference among people, equal rights and opportunities for men and women, and non-discrimination of people with disabilities. Also to know the fundamental aspects of natural sciences, social sciences, geography, history and culture. To be initiated in the use of information and communication technologies for learning, developing a critical spirit towards the messages they will receive and elaborate. And finally, to use different artistic representation and expressions and get started in the construction of visual and audiovisual proposals. So there we have all those characteristics and necessities. And now we are going to design the activities. So we are going to design 3 activities. So for the first one, we are going to use storyboard that, which is for creating a comic. Then we are going to use crowd spaces for an augmented reality activity. And finally, we use worldwide for a final quiz. So for designing the activities, we are going to ask the artificial intelligence, which is going to give us some ideas for designing them. And I'm going to use ChatGPT because I find it very comfortable and think it's very useful. Now here you can see the question that I asked ChatGPT using all the data and information about the activities and apps. And down here you can see the answer it gave to me. So firstly, for the augmented reality task, I really like the proposal that as it would be a great first approach to these ancient civilizations and the students would be able to see them. After exploring those civilizations, the students would have to discuss about what they have seen. Now, for the second task, which is down here, I also like the idea of creating historical comics, as it would foster their creativity and reinforce the content taught. And finally, for the third task, I didn't really like the proposal, as I think it should work as a final quiz to review all the contents taught in these activities. So I will change it now. So now I will start designing the activities. But firstly, for each of one, I will use the ACAD framework, which stands for Activity Center, Analysis and Design. Firstly, for the first activity, regarding the set design, the activity will be done in our VR class or in the computer room, and will require any kind of technological devices, like computer, laptops, or tablets. Now, regarding the social design, the class will be divided in small groups of 3 to 5 students, which will allow them to discuss during the performance of the task. And regarding the epistemic design, the task will be done in one whole class, in other words, 1 hour. So here is the first app that we are going to use. It is Crowd Spaces, which is an augmented reality app that allows students to watch some 3D designs through their devices as if they were in real life. It can be used with augmented reality glasses or some cubes, but it doesn't matter if students don't have any of these because they can still use the app. Now for this task, students will have to access the app, search for ancient civilizations and click on the first result. This will take them to this page, and after clicking on the bottom right button, they will appear here, where they can move and see 4 civilizations. When you click on each of them, a video explanation will appear. The task will consist on visualizing the 4 videos, firstly the one about Mesopotamia, and then Egypt, Greece, and finally Rome, and discuss what they have seen with their teammates and finally with the teacher. Now, for evaluating the task, I elaborated a rubric with some help from ChatGPT. It is a small rubric, since this task does not have the same importance like the ones coming, as it serves more like an introduction to the topic. So this task incorporates very interesting and not usually used digital tools, which makes it very interesting. And also these digital tools are very useful since they allow children to interact and even see some concepts in a more entertaining way. Concepts that usually they might find a little bit boring. Now for the second task, firstly we have the ACAD framework. For the set design, the activity will be started in classroom in the computer room and finished at home. Regarding the social design, it will be done individually, giving each student more freedom to do creative projects. And for the epistemic design, the students will have 1 week for finishing the whole task, since it requires some time to think and work on it. So the website that we use for this task is called Storyboard. This website allows to create some very original comics for free and offers a lot of characters, settings, options, scenarios, etc. So this is the main menu of the web. Here you can see all the options and features that it allows you to use, which are very varied and cool. The objective of the students in this task is to create 4 images, each of them showing one historical scenario that we've learned about, which are Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. Then at class they will present them and talk about the details they have put and why have they chosen them. And now you can see a few examples of scenarios that I did myself, similar to what the kids would have to do. For this task, I also created a rubric for evaluating it with some help from ChatGPT, which you are seeing now. As this task is more important than the previous one, it also includes more points to evaluate. Now, this may be the most interesting task regarding the digital tools used in it. Creating a comic without any digital technology, just with a paper and a pencil, can be a headache for a little kid. However, using a website will make the job easier for him, providing a lot of interesting elements that will allow him to express what he's thinking of better. Finally, we have the third task. Regarding the ACAD framework, for the set design, the activity will be done in class or in a computer room. For the social design, it will be done individually. And finally, for the epistemic design, the activity will be done in a small time period of about 20 minutes, including the explanation and the conclusion after the activity is done. The website that we are going to use for this final task is WorldWall, a website that allows creating online didactic games. In this case, we are going to create a quiz game. Here you can see an example of a game on this website. The student will control a plane, and after a question appears, he will have to roll through the cloud that shows the correct answer. If he rolls through a brown cloud, he will lose 1 life. Every player starts the game with 3 lives. Also, there's a time counter, so that if 2 players have the same correct answers in the ranking, the one who finished earlier will be above the other one. In other words, this game is just like a Kahoot, but presented in a way that small students might like it more. The rubric of this task is the smallest one, since it is just a quiz. It has been done assuming that the game consists of 10 questions, and that the lowest time to finish it is 2 minutes. For this rubric, there hasn't been used any artificial intelligence. For this last task, it is very interesting to use technology, since this website presents a quiz in a cool way for little kids and shows a lot of useful data for the teacher. Now, before finishing with this part of the project, I will evaluate the apps and webs that I've chosen based on their privacy, data protection, and rights policies using the rubric for e-learning tool evaluation, which is right now on screen. So firstly, we have WorldWide, which requires people to provide personal information to sign up, but can keep their data private. There are also some limitations for saving or importing and exporting data. Next, we have CoSpaces, for which only instructors have to provide personal information to set up an account. On the rest of aspects, it's actually the same as WorldWide. And finally, we have Storyboard, which is the most secure one out of those 3. It's the most secure one for signing up. The users can maintain their data private and decide if or how it will be shared, and they can save and export or import all the content in different ways. Now we move on to the second part of the project, which consists of questions related to elements of the course. So I will start with question 2. The two concepts related to theoretical content knowledge that I've chosen are, firstly, this compendium, which here you can see the official definition according to the European Union Science Hub. So for me, this concept will be very useful since it will allow me to understand why it is important for an educator, which I will probably be in the future, to know about technology and its pedagogical uses. This is something that, especially in the next years, will be crucial for all teachers to know about. And then we have data literacy. So here you can see the definition according to Gardner. So technology is a very important part of our lives, and not understanding how it works can be a major drawback in a job. For that reason, I think it is important to acquire some knowledge about digital resources and technologies in education. And now we have two concepts related to technological instrumental knowledge. So here there is ACAT, with the definition according to the University of Murcia. So this has been one of the most useful tools that I've used in this course, since I was able to use it in a lot of activities, such as the Corridori one. However, I am very sure that I will continue to use it in the future. The parts, epistemic, set, and social design that the ACAT takes into account when creating an activity are fundamental, and knowing how to use and combine them will definitely be something that I will still apply when I am a teacher. And finally, we have the augmented reality, with the definition according to the SAP, which, now this is one of the concepts that I already knew from before, but I didn't think it could be useful for education. However, after using it in class, I discovered its actual potential. Creating 3D models for kids is something that can enhance and power their learning, since it will show them a perspective of education which is more entertaining than traditional classes. I am looking forward using augmented reality in class once I am a teacher. Now for question 3, we must further define what the PLA is. So the PLA, which stands for Personal Learning Environment, are, according to Educase, the tools, communities, and services that constitute the individual educational platforms that learners use to direct their own learning and pursue educational goals. This PLA is made up of 3 parts, which can be seen in the diagram. Read, which are the tools used for searching and learning information. Do, which are the tools used for writing that information and using it, and finally share, which are the tools used for publishing and presenting the previous information. Now I'm going to talk about 5 tools that I've used in this course and put them in this diagram. So firstly, we have Google Docs and DeepL, which belong to the Do section. I use Google Docs for writing down all the information that I search about, and it worked as a draw for the tools that are in the Share section. It was the most useful app for me, and I will keep using it in the future. DeepL was a new discovery for me, which I really liked. I used it for translating the information I got from the tools on the Read section into the most convenient language, either Spanish or English. Just like Google Docs, I will certainly keep using it in the future. Now we have ChatGPT, which belongs to both the Read and the Do section. I use this app a lot, for example, for searching for some information and asking questions that I didn't understand at all, which explains why it belongs to the Read section, but also for organizing, administrating, and summarizing some information that I had previously obtained from other places, explaining why does it belong to the Do section. I will certainly keep using this app in the future. And finally, we have Canva and Miro, which belong to the Search section. While I use Canva for creating dynamic presentations, I prefer to use Miro for when the task requires creating some kind of graphic, information map, or schema. Both of them are very well known and useful programs that I will gladly use in the future. Finally, we got to the last question, which firstly I will say that the grade I think I earned is more or less a 7, because I've noticed an important evolution throughout the course. Sometimes I couldn't communicate or cooperate in the best way possible, but in the end I think that I've achieved to move on and improve those aspects, which I'm very happy about that. Apart from that, I also think that I've learned about technologies and some tools, some resources and ICT tools that I'm very sure I will be using in the future. Now, regarding the most challenging role, I would say it's the analyst, because not only do you have to work a lot and with your teammates, but you also have to pay attention at what they are doing, and also give them marks.
So well, this can be sometimes a little bit painful because if you are friends with them, well, if you don't give them a positive mark, it's a little bit sad. But that's what you have to do. So that's why I believe it's the most hard and demanding role. And finally, about the artificial intelligence that I've used for this project, well, I've mostly used ChatGPT, but only for some parts of the project, for example, for making the rubrics. But the rest of it, the scripts, the transcription, most ideas, all of them have been done, well, I thought about them, and they've been done with my own ideas, because I think that was the best way to do it, as well. I thought that mm, I wanted to make it with my own ideas, so if I ask an artificial intelligence to do it, it wouldn't have been like I wanted it to be. So yeah, that's been it. So I hope you like the project, and well, that's all. Thank you.